Our passage today is talking about the Pharisees and specifically their actions and really what made them kind of the target of a lot of Jesus's critiques. And this is a message that I think has become very, very, very relevant even today. I don't think it was necessarily relevant, 20 years ago, or as relevant, I should say. I mean, there's always people who fall into the kind of this trap, but I think especially today, this kind of almost show of compassion and all these other sorts of things is something that is a bit of a problem. And so to kind of get into kind of the specifics here, the big criticism that Jesus had about the Pharisees wasn't necessarily what they were teaching, wasn't necessarily what they believed. It had everything to do with their actions. They had in their kind of school of thought these very extremely strict expectations for people that they would put on other people and judge people by that. And in their mind, this was a way to determine who was kind of holy and who wasn't. And so, a lot of the things that Jesus is talking about here, the phylacteries, the fringes, these are all kind of referring to kind of their outward clothing, their show. And there seems to be like a common kind of criticism of the Pharisees. It was that they did a lot of things that were considered pious, were considered holy, but they did it in a way that was very clearly meant to kind of improve their status in society and kind of elevate themselves up to a more important position. Which is not what the heart of any of those things are. And Jesus is being very critical of that. And he's trying to guide his followers away from this practice. And today I think we do see the same sort of similar thing. Something I have noticed a lot in our culture today is that virtue signaling it's rampant. And what I mean by that is that people have a tendency to pick up causes because they look. They kind of give this sort of elevation to them socially. They kind of improve their social status. They make them seem like a better person than they might actually be. And it's not really about actually caring about those individuals. And this is something that it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. If you've been around me long enough, you kind of know probably at some point talked about this. But like I genuinely believe that all of these causes that kind of get brought up, whatever you can think of, whether it's something with racism, whether it's something with poverty, whether it's something that's more current in terms of events. I mean, the situation in Israel, both for the Jews and for the Palestinians, that is something that if somebody has compassion for or takes up that cause, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the way that people do it, I think, is really important. And the way that you can tell is that generally, if somebody really truly believes in something, it doesn't mean that they're going to act in a way that shows that they actually care about that. They're going to be spending time. They're going to be taking weekends off to go and work towards that cause. They're going to be, if it's something that they can't necessarily directly affect in that sort of way, they're going to be donating money in that sort of way. They're not going to go into conversations and try and lord over the fact that they kind of hold to this belief, that they kind of hold up this cause in this sort of way with people. They're going to go and they're going to talk to them about it, and they're going to try to talk to them in a humble way and try to get them on board to support it and to support the people who are being affected in that situation. That's kind of the difference. The key word here for all of this is humility. And this is what Jesus is getting down to, is that when you are a believer and when you are especially going and doing things, whether it's, things that are connected to worshiping God or things that are connected to changing the world around us, humility is an important aspect that we all need to have. We need to constantly be checking ourselves and making sure that we're doing this for the right reasons, that we're engaging in these activities for the right reason and not to glorify ourselves in any sort of way in the eyes of other people. That I think is really, really important. So my encouragement for all of you this week is to be humble in your faith, in your actions, and to embrace that quality, because that is the quality that Jesus himself exemplified when he came from heaven to earth and throughout his life. It is that humility. And in doing that, we will be more like Christ. Amen. And now I'd like to invite you all to join me for our last worship song today.